Welcome everyone. What's going on this evening? Can everybody hear me okay? If you can hear me, hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. I'm going to try something new this evening. This is your late night live podcast style. Something new, something a little bit different. Cool feature here right here on Facebook. So we're gonna rock this kind of like a podcast style tonight. So thank you all for joining me. If you don't know me, my name is Shane Rains. And this is Doc Talk West Virginia. So, thank you all for joining me. I know this was kind of last minute. Wanted to kind of throw this out there earlier today, let you all know. I plan on jumping on here. It was extremely busy, like all of you this weekend, I'm sure. So, thank you for taking the time. And of course, after you can always watch it later. And make sure you share with your friends. But what is today's episode? Tonight's talk kind of about? I know we've all heard about it, and if you saw the post, and I know if you're joining us now, you're looking right here at the screen at that thumbnail. Hook B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series, and of course that is presented by Abu Garcia, was just announced. Extremely exciting news. B.A.S.S steps up. One of the largest organizations, if not the largest organization in the nation, starting with grassroots anglers, grassroots fishing, a true path to move and work your way up to the next level of angling, of especially move up to that next level of possibly professional angling and the Bassmaster Classic. So, wanted to kind of hop on here. I wanted to pass some of this information along to you, to all of our West Virginia anglers, our kayak anglers here in the state, and to everyone that just kind of wants the rundown of what's going on with all of this. I know it's a little confusing at times. We get a lot of different information from a lot of folks. So I'm going to give you the information that we currently know directly from B.A.S.S. And kind of dive into it, kind of give you the breakdown. So we're going to start with the just B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series, what they've told us. Going to kind of dive into a few of the rules so you all know some things that kind of set them apart from other organizations and or trails. And then we'll kind of dive into the potential and in my opinion, a huge potential for our state right here in West Virginia. But before we get going, I got just a couple things I want to go over. I know it's been a few weeks since I've done a live and kind of chit-chatted with everybody and caught everybody up. But Marshall University Cup finished up, had their last event of the season a few weeks back, and Lee Hess, Josh Miller took the win, 1074. They took home $3,750. Insane money paid out. That was a very successful trail. The guys down at Marshall University did a phenomenal job, so we definitely want to give them a shout out. Also to your Bass Nation of West Virginia members, Chris Morrison and Jay Phillips went down to Hartwell, represented West Virginia extremely well. We are extremely proud of those guys. They worked their way through the basic club level, state qualifier, state championship, made the state team, went on to the regional, qualified through the regional, went on to the national championship. May not have finished exactly how they would have liked. Along with a lot of other anglers, it was extremely tough, but we are extremely proud of them. Jay, Chris, way to go, guys. And you if you follow along, you see those guys' names a lot. So congratulations to those folks, and also to B.A.S.S Nation of West Virginia on always representing our state extremely well. So let's dive right into Hook sponsored B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series presented by Abu Garcia. So what do we currently know? B.A.S.S basically put out a little bit of info for us. They went ahead and threw out a schedule. Kind of gave a little bit of a rundown of what's going on. Richie, thanks for joining, buddy. Mo Kayak Fishing Series member, welcome, buddy. Thank you for joining in also, and everyone else there as well. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown on exactly what they've released so far. So 5 national regional events. Those 5 national regional events are spaced out all over the nation. those events actually are going to be the first event will be at Logan Martin Lake. This will run in conjunction with the Bassmaster Classic here in 2020. Of course, they'll be on Lake Guntersville, Logan Martin Lake. I'm not 100% sure where it is, but I do know it is in close proximity to Guntersville. So that's extremely exciting. When we talk the Bassmaster Classic, who wouldn't want to walk across that stage, even as a competing in the in the first ever BASS Nation Kayak Series event, and to be able to run in conjunction with the largest stage in bass fishing. Extremely exciting for the kayak angling community. I tell you, I've been, once they release this information, I've been losing it. Extremely exciting. As most of you know, I am a kayak angler as well. I love it. I love competing out of a kayak just as much as my big boat. So it's extremely exciting times for the community when you get an organization such as BASS on board with the kayak tournament scene. You know darn well that big things are going to happen. So, like I said, 5 events. Logan Martin Lake, that's in early March. A couple weeks after, they're going to Lake Fork, Texas. Chickamauga Lake in May. August, 2 events, one on the Mississippi River and one on Clear Lake. So what are these 5 events kind of set up as, in my opinion? If you look at B.A.S.S, if you know anything about how they operate, they run a large number of Bass Opens, Bassmaster Opens, and this is kind of similar in my opinion, and everything we talk about tonight is factual, what they've released, and then I will throw in some personal opinions on kind of what I'm thinking from reading all of this. I just want to pass that info along to you all as well. But it's kind of set up like their Bass Opens. Realistically, there will be some folks, I'm sure, travel to all or most of these events, but let's face it, to go to Alabama area March 5th and 2 weeks later travel to Lake Fork, Texas, that would be quite the undertaking of making that trip. Then the Chick in late May, then Mississippi River, and then clear to California. So these are spaced all over the nation. I'm sure in the future, as they see how these things develop, they might branch out to something even a larger schedule. Who knows? I don't have that information, just assuming. But this kind of gives a lot of folks, no matter where you are in in the nation, a chance to possibly travel and make one of these events. So with these 5 events, they've also announced that there will be an all-cash payout. The 2020 Hook Bass Nation Kayak Series format will be a 1-day competition. Entry fee is $250. Now, I know a lot of you probably just heard that, or if you read it, if you already know that, that may sound like an insane amount of money as far as an entry fee. Here's the deal with any entry fee, with any tournament. You hear guys say all the time, you have to pay to play. Well, $250 entry, 150 boat, 150 kayak limit. So 150 boat field. This is a 5 fish limit. But with the entry fee at $250, they're paying out $30,000 at this tournament, at each national tournament. So you're talking $150,000 paid out through 5 events. First place taking home a prize of $700. Now, as with everything with BASS and BASS, you do have to be a BASS Nation member, a BASS member. And some of these things will definitely work themselves out through time. We'll get more information. I'm just going off of what we have currently, what has been released. But with everything, BASS is 100% member funded. That's the same goes with our state organization, 100% member funded. So as a member, you do get, absolutely, thanks for joining us, John. John, buddy, just want to let you know, thinking a lot about you, brother. Thank you for joining in, and he's 100% right if you saw his comment. They are using Tourney X. So most of you, if not all of you, know about TourneyX. They're using the TourneyX platform, software platform, to upload your fish. They are 5 fish limit, like I said. So most of us, if not all of us, are very, very familiar with the TourneyX platform. So that's a huge advantage of being familiar with that already. Obviously CPR like any other tournament, and of course they will be adjusting the payouts as any tournament does depending on the field size. But we're talking 150 boats. They're calling that the cap. I would say you're going to see some events. This is just assuming. You're going to see a few of those events probably reach that or possibly surpass that 150 mark. As we all know, and if you don't know, and I'm extremely proud to say that West Virginia, by far, and it is said right here on TourneyX, I had the conversation with Jason Plumley, president of Southern West Virginia Kayak Anglers, just yesterday, the third largest, basically member base, and these are just folks that have used TourneyX before here in this state. Third largest in the country, right here in the great state of West Virginia. So the potential for us as anglers right here is remarkable. It's extremely exciting. Like I said, I've been just flipping out, really. One, because I respect bass. I love everything fishing, and knowing what our state organization, BASS Nation of West Virginia, how they operate, extremely professional. And they run they run a tip-top trail. So that's extremely exciting to know that there is further potential down the road, hopefully. And if you don't know, if you don't follow BASS Nation of West Virginia, if you didn't see their post there the other day that they can't announce anything yet, but something is in the works. I wish I could tell you. I don't know, but knowing those guys very well, I'm sure they've got some really cool things in store for us here. So you all definitely make sure you follow BASS Nation of West Virginia, and also keep checking in on BASS Nation of West Virginia or West Virginia Bass Nation, wvbassnation.org, on their website for further updates. So I'd say we're going to hear something soon. I hope. I can't wait. I'm excited. I've been prying on those guys, but they just won't release anything yet. But knowing how they operate, it's got to be a great thing. So let's dive in a little bit deeper on as far as just this national trail that has been released so far. And I'll kind of tie that into what we were just kind of talking about. So they're going to run these 5 events. What they've announced through these 5 events is who is going to qualify for the 2021 Hook Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship that will be held in conjunction with the 2021 Bassmaster Classic. So they're obviously, without releasing too much information from Bass and what their plan is, and I'm sure things will change over the year, but it sounds like they've already got a qualifying procedure to make it in to this Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship, wherever that may be held, and it will run in conjunction with the Classic. So that's extremely exciting. So for the first ever, they're already saying they're going to mesh this up right with the Classic. So that is absolutely awesome. So what they're saying is the top 10% or 20 anglers, whichever is greater, from each national regional will actually qualify for the national championship. Also, the top 5, let's see. Actually, I'm gonna rewind just a hair. And they also said any angler that fishes 4 of the 5 national events. So if you could possibly make those trips and just fish 4, regardless from what I'm reading. Now that I could be wrong, this is just exactly how I'm reading, is as long as you fish 4 out of the 5, you get that a qualifying spot. So that's exciting. Now granted, as I read through that schedule, and you heard me say, they're scattered all across the U.S. this year. So it would be extremely tough, but if you're willing to put in the time and travel time, and we all know the costs that go along with that, but if you're willing to do that, absolutely, they're talking you get a qualifying spot as well. So that is exciting, and I love that aspect. Is an angler is rewarded when they are 100% committed. And when an angler's committed, especially traveling that kind of distance, they have absolutely, in my opinion, earned a spot into that championship as well. Also, let's see. They also announced that the leaderboard will be posted on bassmaster.com. Sweet. I mean, really? How bad would it be to tell your buddies, hey, man, go check me out. My name's right there on bassmaster.com. So that's awesome. Their media outlet platform is incredible. And from the sound of it, and if you ever follow along with anything Bass Nation, Bassmaster, you know they do a superb job with recognizing those anglers at the top and keeping everybody updated. So that's extremely exciting. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of the rules. So I just want to. There you go, Robert. Robert Weicker, thanks for joining, Bobby. Road Warriors Reward, absolutely, man. But you know as well, all y'all do, that if you're traveling those insane distance, you're talking thousands of dollars invested in that. But for the reward, $250 entry, potentially walk away with a win of $7,000, and I'm sure the payout will be great on down the field. And possibly, the top 10% or 20 anglers, whatever's greater, is going to make the national championship. So, I mean, if a man or woman or whoever travels, an angler travels down and qualifies first or second tournament, you don't have to worry about traveling to California. So there's a lot of incentive for jumping on board with this trail as well. And a lot will change throughout the year, I'm sure, new updates and such. So, and all this information I'm going over is available on a few links that have been floating around straight from bassmaster.com. So I will make sure I put these links in the comments of this video or in description, so you all can always go back and read through it all yourself. What is really exciting is Bass has really adopted a lot of their big boat rules directly into this kayak fishing series. And there's some content rights that go along with Bass and any organization for that matter. So definitely want to read over a lot of that. It's nothing drastic that would shy anybody away, but it's definitely something somebody will want to familiarize themselves 100% before you jump on board. Also, let's see, there will be what sounds, potentially some contingency programs through companies that Bass works with closely, as with any large trail. So that's exciting to know that there's additional potential payouts there from companies that are involved. And it looks like they are, like I said, using Tourney X. Yeah, John, you are right. I wasn't going to dive too much into it, but yeah, you're basically allowed to film. You're allowed to take pictures. They are very strict on how you share certain things and where you share them to. As anything, let's be honest. If you're out there fishing a trail, I don't care if it's a club in our state, and we got the best clubs in the state across the board. Ran by some of the best people by far. I fished them all. I have a ton of respect for all these folks. And when you combine all the anglers and tournament directors and club members and board members, I'm telling you right now, we are blessed to have really the community of anglers we have. But yeah, like John said, 10 minutes of video you're allowed to film, but you're only allowed to use 10 minutes of video content from an event for your personal use on social media. So there's a few things like that. It's actually fairly loose, but it is definitely something you'd want to kind of read up on and make sure you're in compliance with all these rules. You never want to kind of step over that. But like I said, they're using Tourney X. That's exciting. We all know the Tourney X platform, very simple to use. And if you don't know, it's very easy to dive into that. That's exciting. Also, they get kind of into like an off-limits practice and competition rules area. So there's really no designated off-limits period. So you could actually pre-fish from what they're saying so far and release up to the event anytime. But there will be an official practice period announced, and that's actually at 12:01 a.m. the Monday before competition. So Monday before the first tournament, at 12:01 a.m. that will officially start what they consider the practice period. And during the practice period, contestants may not enter any tournament waters for any reason after the start of the pre-tournament rules meeting. So I know that sounded kind of funny, but that would be actually say could be Friday evening or what have you. So there is no limit, but during that official practice period, which would be the week of the tournament, week leading in, Monday through Friday, leading into that Saturday or Sunday tournament, whenever they decide to have this. But during those times, you can't go solicit information off of someone. That goes right along with the pro side, which I really like that. Also, you can't pre-fish off of anything other than your kayak, other than an approved kayak, which I love. Now, as a lot of you all know, in another trail, basically, there was no limit at the time. So I've personally utilized every rule that I was allowed, and I've hauled my big boat to a big kayak national event before, pre-fish out of my boat. Whether or not some folks thought that was fair, I don't know. It didn't help me any, as you know. But I had to disqualify myself after day one. But anywho, due to a life jacket deal, but you'll have that. But I really like that. It really levels the playing field. The rules are there, set in stone. I really, really like. And I tell you what I appreciate more than anything about that personally is I totally can relate and understand the passion and the work that a lot of folks have put in to grow kayak fishing, kayak tournament fishing. And there's always been this battle of kayakers versus bass boat versus kayakers, and that's a huge conversation that a lot of folks have had, and it's absolutely, in my opinion, ridiculous. We all love the sport, and we all are passionate about catching big old bass and competing. So this, knowing that they are adopting the rules and kind of transitioning where appropriate into the kayak scene, I love it. I love it. Guys are recognizing each other as competitive anglers, and if they're not, they're crazy. They're missing out, because kayak fishing is paying out tens and tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000 a couple years back to an angler for one event. So it's very exciting to hear about that. But also, just I want to burn through. Like I said, you all can go back and read all this. Ken, thank you for posting that link, buddy. Ken Hackworth, president of BASS Nation West Virginia, posted up a link right there in the comments. Make sure you all can go back and look through that yourself and kind of familiarize. Of course, they got a huge, very important angler code of conduct and sportsmanship. Kind of hit on a little bit ago. It's no different than any club that operates here in the state. You go out, if you're bashing your club, your own club's name, and tearing down what they've worked for, there are repercussions for that, as there should be. There's a professional way that we all need to represent ourselves as anglers, and this is an extreme opportunity to really and I know kayak fishing has blowed up. I mean, I know some of you might be listening thinking, well, man, he acts like there hasn't been on a national stage. It's not that, but knowing that a giant organization such as BASS is accepting and adopting what kayak fishing has grown into is very, very exciting and appreciated, because I know we all, as anglers, make exactly what we have. If all of us didn't buy into the kayak tournament scene years back, a lot of you folks have been doing this a long time. If we didn't buy into it and follow these trails and spend the money and believe in what was happening, it would never be to this stage today. So we all owe ourselves a pat on the back for this, and that's nationwide. Thousands of kayak anglers across the nation, so that's exciting. So I'm going to hit on kayak regulation. A lot of folks are asking, what am I allowed to use? Are motors going to be allowed? Here is directly from that website what they have announced, BASS has announced, and that is watercraft propulsion is restricted to paddle, pedal, pole, or electric motor. They are allowing electric motors. Now, there are some electric motor restrictions. And like I said, some of this could change, but I would say that as far as the electric motor deal, it's going to stick right to this. An electric motor must be attached to the kayak in a safe manner, obviously, and it may not exceed the maximum horsepower thrust capacity of a kayak. I'm sure there's some out there. I haven't seen any restrictions actually listed on a kayak. It could be, I know I'm probably wrong, but I personally, as things grow, I'm sure they're having to put it on there. But that's probably not a huge concern. Most of us are running a homemade system, whether it's a 30-pound Minn Kota, 50-pound Minn Kota, what have you. Equivalent of a 3 horsepower or less, so that would kind of cover you. Eligible to use a Torqeedo setup. As we all know, extremely productive system they have there. And obviously nothing over 155 foot-pound trolling motor. I want to know where you got to get one of those. Holy smokes. But anywho, and they are, and it's a one motor deal. You can't run 2 electric motors. So none of that. Now, if it's a single motor with a dual prop that's actually manufactured that way, eventually we might see something like that. Those are allowed, but no dual motors. And there are some restrictions. So the vessel must be a minimum of 9 foot long, nothing over 18. That covers pretty much everything we all fish off currently, and it does still allow the big PA-17s, as a lot of folks are running. And no homemade kayaks. That's probably for everyone's best interest. But catamaran style personal fishing vessels complying with all other regulations, they are saying, will be eligible. So, and the use of a manual motorized anchor system, of course, is permitted. So basically that allows your blue sky boat works. And everybody knows about that boat, sweet boat, and it's pretty well been adopted into the kayak community. Whether or not you agree with it, but sweet platform, honestly, it's probably not the ideal setup for most of us, but it is allowed to be used. Now, everything else goes along with pretty much everything we're used to. Using a hog trough, using a catch board, they are legal measuring boards. They are recognizing them that you can use both. And I did see that Ketch just released info that they're coming out with a new floating, some kind of polymer board that is yellow. So I really like the look of it. That's exciting as well. Now, let's see. They kind of go off of the same measuring system. You know, there are penalties, cracked mouth, open mouth, lip or tail not touching, disqualified. We're all used to that. And you can always follow up with more information on the website for all of that info as it develops. But all of us know kind of what that's about, how fish are scored. So we all can kind of adapt to that pretty easy. Now, here's what I'm really excited about. So, once they release the news, obviously, you've heard me say it a million times, pumped up. So I printed off the rules, kind of started reading through everything. And I'm telling you, this right here, and they kind of go into how you can qualify the point systems and such. But when you read through that, they go into the top 25 and AOI points. And of course, like I said, if you fish 4 out of the 5, you get to qualify for the national championship. But what really stood out to me is this. The question was, well, how does that affect us here in the state? What's that mean for us? Yeah, there's 5 tournaments scattered all across the nation. But if you know anything about BASS and Bassmaster and BASS Nation specifically, when they labeled this BASS Nation Kayak Series, you immediately light balls, boom, blowing up, lighting up in my head. And here's what they put out. State B.A.S.S nation, so state BASS nations holding a BASS Nation Kayak Series state championship may send the top 10% from their state championship to the BASS Nation Kayak Series National Championship. So, don't take that like I know something special, because I don't. But the potential for our BASS Nation of West Virginia organization to look into possibly offering something for our anglers right here in this state. Some of the best anglers, skilled, qualified, absolute sticks, and dedicated, absolutely dedicated to the sport. Eat, sleep, and breathe it. Some of the best folks I've ever met. To know that there is a potential path for possibly one of our anglers to move on to this first ever, or in years to come, some sort of national championship for kayak anglers. Hello, wake up. Things are going to happen. I'm exciting. I'm excited. This is exciting. It's unreal. I see a huge potential for our area. And why our area? Really nationwide. But for our area, our member base is huge. You add up everyone from all these different clubs in the state, and even folks that are just going to be joining. This grows every single year. The potential is unbelievable for us and our state right here. So, what's to come, I don't know. I don't have that information, unfortunately, yet. They have announced, though, if you follow their page, and make sure you do, Bass Nation of West Virginia, right on Facebook, you see me stream a lot of their weigh-ins for high school and adults. Make sure you follow their page. They said they do have some kind of announcement in the foreseeable future. Really excited to see what they come up with that. Rich. Hey, sweet Rich, that's awesome to hear, man, that they're, in that short a time, they're jumping right on board with potentially looking to see what's going on. Awesome to hear, buddy, and thank you for joining. West Virginia Kayaking, straight from John Rapp, 167 members alone. That's one club, guys. That's one club. So extremely exciting. So with that, I'll kind of give you, let me just rewind just a little bit. I know when you hear that, it's exciting. We all want to know what's going on. Ken just said, read his comment, Bass Nation West Virginia, very excited about the opportunity for all bass anglers. So, these guys do it right, I will say. They always do. They pre-plan everything. They do a great job with everything they handle and how they handle the organization and the tournaments and specifically the members, the anglers. So like I said, this is all member funded, that organization. So it is exciting. But I just want to dive in just a little bit on if you don't know, some of you and most of you might, of kind of how the path goes with Bass Nation on the bass boat side. So, when they label this Bass Nation Kayak Series, you can't help but just assume that there will be, years down the road, I don't know when, it might not happen for a while, but I would imagine that a lot of this stuff could possibly be set up and ran as far as starting at the beginning of the year all the way to the national championship. So make sure you go back and look through videos and watch that Path to the Classic live stream I did when I kind of discussed Bass Nation. You can that goes in full detail as far as a bass boat fisherman, how you work your way from the club level all the way up to potentially the Bassmaster Classic. So for example, you start at the club level. You're a member of a Bass Nation of West Virginia affiliated club, like I've said in that video. You work your way. They offer for big boat stuff an actual buddy trail, so that's a way you can qualify for an adult state championship currently. And of course, they do run a qualifier system. So many members from each club. There's 37 plus. It could be 37 or 39. Could be wrong. Sorry, Ken, if that's not right, buddy. But just shy of 40 affiliated clubs in the state on the bass boat side. So many members from each club get to qualify to fish the qualifier. Whoever makes it through the state qualifiers in the 3 divisions move on to the state championship, and the top 22 teams make the state team to go on to a regional event. Top boater, top co-angler from our state, guaranteed we get 2 spots. Top boater, top co goes to the national championship. At the national championship, of course, if you don't know, the top 3 anglers finishing at the national championship, guess what? A bid to the Bassmaster Classic, the biggest stage in bass fishing. So that is super neat. So that is how the nation is ran on the bass boat side. I can't help but just wish and hope and fingers crossed that in the near or in the future or near future, you just never know what'll happen with all these states. I think there's 47 states that actually have a Bass Nation state-run organization out of the 50. So you can't help but just hope and wish that we see something develop nationwide when you see folks be able to qualify for a giant national event, especially when it's affiliated with Bass. So that's really what the video was about. I know I wanted to mix it up, change it up a little bit today. I went to a live audio only podcast style, something a little bit different. Hope you all enjoyed it. And thank you all for joining me. Looking down through the list, Ken, John, Chris, Jonathan, Cart, Mark, Edwards. Mark, I won't be calling you for 3 hours and talk to you 3 hours, buddy. Sorry about that. But, of course, Bobby, Tony Hill, Aaron Finney, Brad West, all these guys, Luke, Brian, Aaron, thank you all for joining me, Adam Hudson, and give me your thoughts. What are your all thoughts on this? I know it gets a little overwhelming when you hear another organization. I hear folks say things get watered down. Right now we have 3 main organizations that's involved running national trails. Things are changing constantly. And what's up, Dwayne Wally, the Mr. Turney X himself? What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining in, man. That's awesome. But so it's exciting. It's exciting to know that Bass is jumping on board with the kayak scene. They do things right, and to know that there's potential. And I'm just going to throw something out. I'm going to throw a prediction out, and this is strictly from me, myself, and I'm just assuming. I've told this to everyone I've talked to, so I got to kind of stick with it. But I hope, and my hope is, in the next 5 years, and this is just a hope, and I could be wrong, but I hope to see someone that starts out of a plastic boat on April 1st or March 29th, the year prior, works his or her way all the way up to a national championship and gets a qualifying spot in the biggest stage of bass fishing, the Bassmaster Classic. I hope that happens. I hope that happens. I know all of you hope that we get an opportunity to fish at that level. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I pray and hope it does. That'd be exciting to know that things are happening. One, to level the playing field as far as kayakers, bass boaters, kayakers, all are in it together. All in it together, knowing that we respect each other. And I promise you, there's been a lot of big boat guys hop in a kayak and think, what the heck? Dude, this is totally different. This is tough. And it is tough. It's a totally different style of fishing. You can't pack 500 pounds of gear with you. You can't pack 500 rods unless you're some folks, and they're packing 15, 20 rods, but that's okay too, Mark Edwards. But anyway, so it is exciting. Like Dwayne said, possibilities are there. It is a time for the kayak community right here in West Virginia to talk it up. Let everyone know how exciting this time is for our anglers in our state. Ken, we're going to be pushing on you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. And we cannot wait to hear what Bass Nation of West Virginia, you and your crew, all the folks over there, it takes the Army to make that run, and there's some just top-notch folks. I've gotten to know them this year more than ever, and it's been very, very fun. But a lot to happen, I'm sure. Stay tuned. Follow the page. Like and share this video. Get this out to your friends. Get this out to your family. Get this out to everyone you know that's interested in kayak fishing here in the state. Let's let Bass Nation of West Virginia know how bad we want something big to happen here, and we'll see if they can't offer something up. So, as always, thank you all for joining me. It's been fun. Thanks for sticking in, and we will see you on the water. Have a great night.